The snow fell softly. It was Christmas Eve. 3 friends, Billy, Sarah, and Tom, played in the park.
Look!
Shouted Tom.
A train!
The train was unlike any they'd seen. It shimmered, covered in frost and snowflakes. It had candy cane stripes and smelled like gingerbread. Curiosity bubbled inside them. They ran towards the train, drawn by its magic. A jolly conductor with a bushy white beard greeted them.
Welcome aboard the Snowflake Express. This train delivers snow and Christmas spirit.
Before they could even ask, the train lurched forward. They were on their way. Inside, the train was even more magical. The windows showed snowy landscapes and the seats were made of gingerbread.
Wow, this is amazing!
The conductor, Mr. Jingleton, explained that the train ran on Christmas cheer.
We need to solve riddles to keep the train going.
The first riddle appeared on a scroll.
I fall from the sky but melt in your hand. What am I?
They put their heads together.
Snow!
Billy finally shouted. As soon as he said it, the train sped up, its whistle blowing cheerfully. Their first stop was the village of forgotten toys. The children had heard many stories about this place, a once thriving village where toys were made for children all over the world. But now, it was a shadow of its former self, covered in a blanket of snow and silence. The air was filled with a sense of mystery and sadness as they walked through the deserted streets. It was a sad sight. The buildings were falling apart, and the once bustling toy factory stood silent and still. The children could almost hear the echoes of laughter and joy that once filled the air. They felt a deep sense of loss as they looked around, wondering what had happened to this magical place. The toy factory was closed, and there was no snow. The factory, which had once been the heart of the village, was now just an empty shell. The children knew that something was missing, something that could bring the factory back to life. They were determined to find out what it was.
The factory needs a special ingredient to make toys. The children searched high and low, looking for clues that could lead them to the missing ingredient. They knew that without it, the factory would remain closed, and the village would never be the same again,
said Mr. Jingleton. Another riddle appeared. Mr. Jingleton, the village elder, had seen many winters come and go. He knew the secrets of the village and the factory. He told the children that the factory needed something special, something magical, to start making toys again. He handed them a piece of paper with a riddle on it.
I'm small and sparkly, and I make things shine. What am I? The children read the riddle aloud, trying to figure out what it meant. They knew that the answer was the key to saving the village and bringing joy back to the children who lived there.
This time, Sarah knew the answer. Sarah, the youngest of the group, had a sudden realization. She remembered seeing something that matched the description in the riddle. She knew that they were on the right track.
Glitter! Sarah exclaimed. The children were excited. They had found the missing ingredient. They knew that with the glitter they could bring the factory back to life and save the village.
The train delivered a whole carload of glitter to the factory. The children watched as the train arrived, carrying the precious cargo. They knew that this was the moment they had been waiting for. The factory workers quickly unloaded the glitter and got to work. Soon, toys were being made again, bringing joy to the village. The village was transformed. The sound of laughter and joy filled the air once more. The children played with their new toys, and the villagers celebrated around a beautifully decorated Christmas tree. The village of forgotten toys was forgotten no more. Section 5. Trapped in the Gingerbread Village. Next, they arrived at the gingerbread village. The air was filled with the sweet aroma of freshly baked gingerbread, and the sight was nothing short of magical. Rows of gingerbread houses adorned with icing and candy lined the streets. The village looked like it had sprung straight out of a fairy tale. It was a delicious sight, but the houses were melting. The once sturdy walls of gingerbread were now softening and collapsing under the intense heat. The villagers, made of gingerbread themselves, were in a state of panic.
The oven is too hot. The central oven, which was supposed to keep the village warm, had gone haywire. Instead of a gentle warmth, it was now spewing out intense heat, causing the gingerbread structures to melt.
Cried a gingerbread man. His icing was starting to drip and he looked genuinely distressed. The villagers gathered around trying to come up with a solution. The riddle appeared. I'm cold and white and I come from the clouds. What am I? The villagers stared at the mysterious message, trying to decipher its meaning. They knew the answer held the key to saving their village.
Snow! One of the villagers exclaimed. The realization hit them like a ton of bricks. Snow was the answer. It was the only thing that could counteract the intense heat and save their melting village.
He shouted. The villagers sprang into action, trying to figure out how to bring snow to their village. They remembered the train that had brought them to the village. The train covered the village in a blanket of snow, cooling everything down. The gingerbread people cheered. The snow not only stopped the melting, but also restored the village to its former glory. The houses stood tall and firm once again, and the sweet aroma of gingerbread filled the air. The villagers celebrated their victory, grateful for the timely intervention of the snow. The gingerbread village was saved, and the villagers learned the importance of balance and harmony in their sweet little world. Section 6. The North Winds Challenge. In the heart of winter, the train chugged along, its wheels cutting through the thick blanket of snow that covered the countryside. The passengers inside were bundled up in layers, their breath visible in the cold air. The train was a lifeline, connecting distant towns and bringing people together during the festive season. The train began to slow down. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels on the tracks grew softer, and the passengers exchanged worried glances. The snow outside seemed to grow heavier, and the wind howled like a wild beast. The train's engine struggled against the icy grip of winter, and it was clear that something was amiss. "We're low on Christmas cheer," announced Mr. Jingleton, the elderly train conductor. His voice, usually full of warmth and joy, now carried a note of concern. The children, who had been eagerly awaiting their destination, looked up at him with wide eyes. The festive decorations inside the train seemed to lose their sparkle, and a sense of unease settled over the passengers. Suddenly, a gust of icy wind blew through the train. The doors rattled and snowflakes swirled inside, carried by the fierce wind. The temperature dropped even further, and the passengers huddled together for warmth. It was as if the very essence of winter had invaded the train, bringing with it a chilling challenge. The north wind appeared, his eyes like chips of ice. He was a formidable figure, towering over the train with an air of authority. His presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, and the passengers could feel the power emanating from him. The north wind's gaze swept over the train, and he spoke with a voice that echoed like the howling wind. "Solve my riddle, or the train stops here!" he boomed. His voice carried a sense of finality, and the passengers knew that this was no ordinary challenge. The north wind's riddle was a test of their wit and determination, and the fate of their journey hung in the balance. The passengers exchanged nervous glances, their minds racing to find the answer. "I'm always coming, but never arrive." The north wind's riddle was as enigmatic as the winter itself. The passengers pondered the words, trying to unravel the mystery. The snow continued to fall, and the wind howled around them, adding to the sense of urgency. The riddle seemed to echo the relentless march of time, always moving forward but never reaching its destination. "I am always near, but never here. What am I?" The passengers were stumped. The riddle was a puzzle that seemed to defy logic, and the cold was seeping into their bones. The children, usually so full of energy and cheer, were now deep in thought, their brows furrowed in concentration. The answer seemed just out of reach, like a distant star in the night sky. This one was tricky, but Billy had an idea. "Tomorrow!" he exclaimed. The words seemed to hang in the air, and the passengers held their breath, waiting for the north wind's reaction. Billy's answer was simple yet profound, capturing the essence of the riddle. Tomorrow was always coming, always near, but never here. It was a concept that resonated with the passengers, and they felt a glimmer of hope. The north wind grumbled and vanished. His form dissolved into the swirling snow, and the icy wind began to subside. The passengers let out a collective sigh of relief, their spirits lifted by Billy's clever answer. The train, which had been at a standstill, began to move forward once more, its wheels gaining traction on the icy tracks. The train, refueled by their cleverness, continued on. The passengers cheered, their hearts filled with joy and relief. The festive decorations inside the train seemed to sparkle once more, and the sense of camaraderie among the passengers grew stronger. They had faced the north wind's challenge and emerged victorious, their journey continuing through the winter wonderland. Section 7. Spreading Christmas Cheer. The Snowflake Express traveled all over the world, delivering snow and Christmas spirit. The children helped to solve riddles, deliver presents, and spread joy everywhere they went. They learned that Christmas wasn't about presents, but about kindness, generosity, and spending time with loved ones. Section 8. The final riddle. Finally, it was time for the last riddle. I am the spirit of Christmas. What am I? The children looked at each other. They had learned so much. Love, they cried together. The train was bathed in a warm light. They had solved the final riddle. Section 9. Home for the holidays. The Snowflake Express pulled into the station where they had started. They hugged Mr. Jingleton goodbye and promised to remember the magic of Christmas. As they walked home, the snow felt different. It felt magical. They carried the spirit of Christmas in their hearts.